So let me step back pre-Barry and start at the beginning. When and why did you get into acting?
When and why? Well, the when was my junior year of college at the University of Florida. I had no aspirations of anything in that nature. Before that, I'd been my high school photographer. I was kind of in journalism in the first couple of years because you got to pick something. But after a certain point, after I'd taken a couple of elective classes for student directors, they started using me as an elective to act in their student directing scenes. And after a couple of them, I said, this is something I can do. I think I can be good at this. So within maybe 3 or 4 months, I switched majors to drama and got in the BFA program, and that was the start for me. And then I went on from there straight to a job in New York City with a bus and truck with the National Shakespeare Company. And that was a bus and truck that would go out for 9 months of the year doing colleges, small theaters, and a repertory of 3 shows. So you were called upon to either do Hamlet one night or Comedy of Errors one night or Twelfth Night. So it was arduous. We were on an old Trailways bus with 12 actors doing it, but very simply. And I think that's where all my training came from. Every emotion and plot position you can get in is in Shakespeare. I can go from a clown to a tragedy figure overnight, and I think that's what prepared me most for then doing theater for the next 10 years in New York, in and around New York. Yeah,
that's incredible.
It was my 20s. Everything is incredible in your 20s.
Yeah. But it's fantastic. Not every, people lose their way or find new directions, and they sometimes lead to dead ends. But obviously,
yeah, I tell young actors, don't get into it unless you have to, unless you have no choice, because it could take from now till you're 45 to get something, that will put you on the path to permanent employment. And I was lucky enough to get stuff early on that I've been employed ever since.
Do you remember the original pitch for Fuchs?
The original pitch for Fuchs was a much different character. I went in and showed Bill what I would want to do with Fuchs with the script we had then. And he said, yeah, let's go in that direction. But by the time we finished shooting the pilot, both HBO, and Alec Berg, the other creator of the show, thought that Fuchs was at 11. Where's he going to go? I mean, he's a screaming moron in this version of Fuchs. So we reshot the pilot, rewrote it to make it more of a bad uncle, so we could start from 1 instead of starting at 11, and then you would see the relationship develop throughout the seasons, from very kind bad uncle to insane bad uncle. So the rewrite in the pilot was essential to create this version of Fuchs.
So what was the original version before you came?
He was still the guy who sent him out, but he was much more of a screamer and do what I say or I'll fucking kill you. I'll rub you up against the wall. It was a much different relationship. What we rewrote it to was that Fuchs has known this kid since he was 7, and it's almost like his child. The jealousy that he has sometimes is he wishes he had a kid like this, and that's a much fuller and more leveled way to play somebody as a character actor. Then I can just little bit, but you see more and more and more, and finally the audience sees that in season 4 with that scene. It's like, oh, he's known him that long. Oh, I see why he loves him. I see why he hates him. He's known him forever. So that was a huge reveal in 4, I thought.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's well. I was going to get into that a little bit, but the pre-Barry, meeting child Barry. What's his background? Who is this guy? Because he's such a. What makes him tick? He's he's an odd
I
cat.
think as much as we need to know about him is that he knows he's a fake in almost every sense. He doesn't have a kid. Was he in the army? Yeah, he was shoveling beans at the rear. He never saw action like Barry did. And he can pretend all he wants. But I think that's part of Fuchs's character, that he knows he's a fake. He knows he's a fake in every aspect of his life. And that's what makes him so immediately angry at anything and jumping on anything. I think by the time we get to the, season 4 and the change that goes over Fuchs within the prison system, this is a different Fuchs you see at the end of the show. Somebody who's found his confidence, has been given respect, and he has never had that. He has never had respect. So the last, 4 episodes of the show are a different Fuchs, which is so fun to play as a character guy.
Yeah, it has to be great though to play a character who has this like hidden side to himself. He's on the outside, he's one man, and the inside he's another. Mm-hmm. So, looking for that respect, or looking for some kind of acknowledgement.
Absolutely. And he finally gets it in the most unlikely of places that he's been to avoid all his life, prison. That's where he gets his respect. It's like, really? Okay. And again, this is all coming from brilliant writing throughout the thing, and making it a leveled performance for an actor to be able to play these levels through a long period of time. I think you get to do, when you play a character for 4 or 5 seasons, like I played Jimmy James on News Radio for 4 or 5 seasons, he changed. When you're doing a long form show, almost like a long movie, you're getting to see the beginning of the character and the end of the character. And you get so much more doing a series than a movie, because you don't have 2 hours, you have 7, 8, 10 hours to develop this character. And the writing in this show is just superlative. So you're able to play many, many different colors of the guy.
Yeah, and I want to dip into that a little bit, but I also want the physical transformation. It's I find it amazing to watch you and see your work. You've got this long list of credits, and every character you kind of disappear into it. You're a chameleon, but you're right out. You don't do anything, any kind of major changes, but yet you totally shift. There's like an on-off button between.
Well, I think that's what character actors do. You got to become the character, and it's not just your voice. It's your whole body reacts to how your mind is thinking. This guy would walk this way. He would talk this way. He would, so that by the time you actually, quote, get the character that you've rehearsed wherever, you're thinking as him and your body moves as him. So that's just part of it for me. It's like, that's the basis of it. And then if you have brilliant writing to go with it, then you got the whole package, and a brilliant director, as Bill was for 8 shows this year. It's his particular vision. So you have a strong intention in every part of it. My body, my acting, their writing, his directing, and you got the whole package. And this kind of magic feeling with all these great actors at once going for the good of the show as opposed to the good of their individual characters.
There's the physical, and there's the evolution of Fuchs. Mm-hmm. But one thing I did want to touch upon, did you hit the gym? You're looking buff, all tatted up, and
well, I'm as much as they write this thing to beat up the old guy. I've been trying throughout my 60s to get into the best shape that I can be in. And at this point, what's keeping me in good shape is Pilates, which is mostly stretching. And for my age group, it's been a savior for me. And I've had back problems before and knee problems, but I'm probably now in my best shape, and that's good for working in this character because there's a lot of physical work to do.
Yeah, well, you look great.
Thanks.
You know,
Appreciate it.
you become the Raven. So obviously there is this arc, his evolution. How does he change over time? Who does he start as, and who does he become by the time we get to these last 4 episodes?
Well, he starts as a fake, and then he becomes somebody who has confidence, who got confidence in prison. But he started as a guy, I think, who was jealous of not having a kid like Barry had, being able to kind of raise as a bad uncle, Barry, and have that father adjacent position. But being the kind of guy he is, he's always been unsure of himself. He has no confidence, and his confidence comes out as being a bully. Do what I say what I do. And if you don't, then I'm going to go to 11 and freak out. But fortunately, they've written it so that we start out really low, and you see that he's not a good person, but he stays within his realm of do what I say. No, you haven't done it. You do what I say. Do what I say. And you get to the point that this guy breaks. And then you have the ongoing revenge cycle that he goes through with the I love you. I hate you. I'm going to kill you. I love you, though. I hate you. So that's just good writing throughout the series to get him to that point where you're really, he's at his most emotional, because we changed that in the pilot. He had started at 11, and we had to redo that and start him in 1, which was great.
You have this emotional tug of war, but this relationship tug of war with Fuchs and Barry. Why can't he just walk away? Is it because he has control over him?
He can't walk away because ultimately Barry is not doing what he said. And no matter where he is, no matter what idyllic place he is with some beautiful woman, if he calls up Barry and says, "So you're doing this, right? Right?" He can't let it go. And that's his major character flaw. He can't enjoy the now. He can only enjoy the now if people are doing what he says. I think by the time he has his prison experience, he can enjoy the now. He can enjoy the respect that people have for him now. So that's a different person. But until that prison experience, he couldn't do that.
You mentioned his big character flaw, but is there anything redeemable about him? He's a manipulative, murdering, self-serving. What was that? I'm sorry.
Usually, there's some sort of redemption in the characters that I play. I don't think so, really. No matter what, he's going to be the guy that will continue the revenge cycle if his needs are not met. And that's why I think this season has to be the last season, because the reality of the show is people, Barry's not getting better. He's getting more hallucinative and PTSD. And Fuchs has been in prison for a long time. And that's going to change him. So I think reality-wise, it's the way the show has to go and the way these characters have to grow.
Sure. In a show full of these damaged and morally questionable people, is there one character you relate to?
Everybody in the show is kind of morally reprehensible, from Henry's character to Sarah, and eventually Anthony's character. He turns into something he never was at the start of the show. I mean, he's a good guy, and he turns into not a good guy. So every character in the show has changed dramatically from season 1. I forgot the question. I'm sorry. What was the question?
It was, is there one that you relate to most?
Oh,
The
relate
one you're
to.
rooting for?
Yes, I can relate. I can relate to Anthony's boyfriend because this is a good guy and he's trying to
Mhm.
stay. He's trying to stay with him so very much and wants so very much for them to be happy. And it just, the way that things are going, it's just not going to happen. But if I was to play somebody else on the show, I'd love to play that. I really would. Michael's role. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And what do you think of the draw of the series is overall? Because it's such a dark series. I mean, there's a lot of great humor and it's exciting, but it is very dark. Yet you keep coming back for more. There's
Is
never a
that
time that I'm like, I'm walking away.
is that
It's addictive.
HBO? Is that Nurse Jackieism? Because Nurse Jackie was always in the comedy category, but it was a drama. And I think this is the same kind of thing. And I think that's just the quality of the stuff on HBO. It can be not one, it can be both. It can be two, it can be a dramedy and still be a comedy. But from the very first day of rehearsal, Alec Berg and Bill said, you're going to walk the tightrope between real violence and comedy. And the comedy is the comedy and come out of your characters, but the real violence is real. And we do not mix the two because that gives you a grounded reality as a viewer to really experience the show. And I think that's what's been its strength, is the tightrope walking we all do, writers, actors, and directors, between the two.
Yeah, well, it starts in episode 1. You don't expect to see this kind of doofy, likable guy
Yeah.
end up dead, and then it does. You're like, wait, what the hell kind of show is this? I
Well,
thought it was a guy about a killer wanting to be an actor. I thought I was going to be
exactly
yucking it
and
up.
that's so wonderful about what season 3. You come back to that very first shot in the first show of Barry shooting this guy in bed, and then you're now watching in season 3 what his wife, the consequences were for his wife. And that's why the writing is so brilliant on this show. There were some interesting callbacks that just were not what you'd expect on a regular quote television show.
Yeah, I almost feel guilty liking it, but I love it. So, oh well.
Yeah, a lot of my friends say, yeah, I watch Barry like this. I don't know if I can. But that's okay if they're watching. That's fine.
You kind of have to be careful how you recommend it too, because I did tell people, oh, it's a comedy. It's so funny. You'll love it. And they're like,
Yeah.
are you insane?
Yeah.
I lose my number, like.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to quantify, but I think the people that get it, and that's fine, because we're doing it for the quality of the show, and we think that's what the quality of the show is.
Excellent. And as it wraps up, what is your biggest takeaway from this series? What's going to stick with you?
What's going to stick with me is that I have 6 new best friends. There's a lot of shows you go into and you find out there's other actors that you like, but rarely do you get to continue a relationship with them. And I think that we will continue this relationship. We were bonded over COVID, and we truly love each other. And so as much as we hate losing the show, I don't think I'll lose them. So my big takeaway is having 6 new best friends.
That's awesome. And I'll close in an easy one. 3 words to describe Monroe Fuchs.
Manipulating loser boy.
I love it. That might be the best one yet. Oh, that was great. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your work on the series. As a fan, it's a joy to watch you do what you do. And I'm looking forward. I think I have 1 episode left, so I'm.
Yeah. So we're all looking forward to that one as well. And I hope you like how we wrap it up. I think you will.
You've done everything right so far, so I'm sure I'll be just fine. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
So appreciate it.
Nice meeting you.